How'd you come to Germany? How'd you find your flat in the Altstadt? How was your ride here? Simple questions are quagmires. I can't answer the simplest of questions without letting out my secret, without first explaining that everything I do is drawing. I'm gonna apologize up front to, what is your name, may I ask?
Jason.
Jason, because I'm drawing him. Now he knows why I'm staring. Don't worry, Jason, I'll give you your portrait to keep. Yes, I draw portraits of the human beings around me. 100, 200, 3,000, 4,000. Yes, I draw them all with both my hands. And yes, Jason, I'll be finished with yours before the lightning clock says, time's up. The first thing I ask when taking a train is, how many stations? Divide that by 2, and that's the number of portraits I can draw on the ride. Before my train even slows to a stop at my platform, I'm already looking through the windows calculating the optimal place to sit. Okay, let's see, old German one there, has grandkids. I'll draw one kid first, that'll make the old lady comfortable. Her next, businessman third. I don't want him to think I'm asking for cash, so I'll draw the best dressed person last. When I walk into a party, I reflexively map out who to draw in what order because, no offense, Jason, but the portraits themselves don't matter. I don't draw portraits to draw, I draw cartoons for that. I draw starships and crime-fighting teens and interdimensional puppy dog time travelers to draw, but I draw portraits for the smiles, for the connections I can make. I was in a rush to meet a friend, already late. My train would come in enough time for one portrait, so I draw an Indian guy sitting next to me. He's startled, of course, and asks the usual questions. That's nice. He's loving it. But a 7-year-old Russian girl is walking by the platform, catches sight of my 2 hands moving, and she stops, just dead in her tracks, stops walking, and she stares. And I can see in her eyes something more. Not just that's amazing, super cool, but the stuff that dreams are made of. She wants a piece of this so bad, just something she can hold on to, that she can't even look away. And soon, I'm done with the Indian guy's portrait. My train comes, but so what if I'm 6 minutes later? I decide to miss this train. I tell the girl I'll draw her picture, and she has the biggest smile. Say, we said we'd meet at 13. Was your ride here okay? Yes, it was. I was at Berlin Hauptbahnhof at 3 in the morning, waiting for a connection. An Asian family comes by and sits near me. They have a cute 11-year-old and 5-year-old I decide to draw. Turns out they're from Mongolia. The parents can hardly speak a word of English or German, but their 11-year-old daughter can. With her as interpreter, we talk about where we're from, why we're in Germany, and drawing. We want to learn so much from each other in that early morning time between trains. The girl even teaches me some Mongolian. Bizarmat turtai. I like ice cream. We have to part ways, but before they're out of sight, the little girl turns and runs back towards me. She holds a candy bar in her hands. Danke, she says. And then they're gone. I was on a train in LA, and a man was sitting by the doors with 2 trash bags that probably have all he owns. He has a big giant beard and smells like... He's seen me draw 3 or 4 people before on this train ride, but he takes it for granted that he is invisible. That this kind of thing wouldn't happen to someone like him, but I draw him. And when he sees he's getting his portrait, his big bushy beard clears to show a smile. I didn't know he could still do that. He looked like he needed that. These are the people I draw. These are the human beings around me, breathing the same air as I am, laughing, grieving, sleeping, working, going through the same life with me, sitting on these same trains with me. In 4 years, I have drawn 6,000 strangers. I've made 6,000 smiles. And it is the greatest feeling in the world, realizing that everyone you meet, even the person next to you on the morning commute, is just like you and I. We all want to connect. That's my secret I can hardly keep from spilling. That's why everything I do is drawing.
That's really amazing. Really amazing. Do you have any favorite portrait that you've drawn? Because you've drawn 6,000 of them.
Good question. So I don't actually remember most of the portraits. What instead I remember are the conversations that I've had. For example, one time I was on a train ride and the train kind of broke down, so I sat for half an hour with this one high schooler. He had actually spent his family had moved like 11 times, and so he was always changing schools. But one day, his family moved and he said, no, I'm gonna stay at this school. And so he had to take a train ride that was like 2 hours long. He had to wake up at 5 a.m. every morning to get there. He couldn't afford the train ride because his aunt said, no, I'm not paying for that, it's too expensive. So he had to sell chips in order to do it during lunchtime. And then on his, he would have to help out his uncle at a food stand. And so he was totally overworked, totally couldn't sleep, totally stressed out. But eventually the school principal found out about it and said, hey, we'll actually help you out with your train tickets. We understand that what you're doing, you have so much heart, you really want